Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the DCU Experience. I'm sorry to scream in your ear. I'm just so dang excited. We've got the whole group back together again. We're here, and there's new DCU stuff coming out every single week, man. We've got a Peacemaker to talk about. Crisis is in the building. True is in the building. Nick is in the building, and of course, I am in the building. I'm so pumped. As always, we are sponsored by GamerSupps. If you'd like to save 10% on your next order, go to gamersupps.gg/key issues to save 10% on your next order. With all of that out of the way, Crisis, how you been, man? What's going on? Tell the people about your hyperfixation over the past month.
Well, the walls have ears, so it's a secret. But if you know me, if you're in my, you know, if you're in my Discord server, you would know. If you become a channel member, you would know. But great video on the way. Might be genre defining.
Yeah.
Could very well be my magnum opus so far. But they're definitely going to be big things, good things, maybe the best things coming out of the Crisis channel. So look forward to that. But otherwise, I've also been partaking in the DCU, and I'm very excited to talk about some of the news, some of the Superman news, as well as the episodes of Peacemaker we've been getting.
Heck yeah, man. It's great to see you again. Your skin's looking great. Your hair is looking voluptuous, man. It looks great today. I don't know.
Hey, thanks, man.
You're letting it grow out a little bit. Maybe you did a little something. Maybe you're putting a little new product in it. Maybe a little conditioner.
There is some new product. Okay. I won't lie. There is some new product. I'm glad you noticed. I'm glad you really noticed. Yeah.
True. You and I have been playing some DC Worlds class. First of all, we need to be friends on the game. But are you locked and loaded for Vigilante tonight or what? You gonna be pulling here in about an hour?
I actually haven't looked at his kit.
You have Peacemaker?
No.
Oh, well, then you don't need him.
I do have Mr. Because I pulled Terrific. I pulled Mr. Terrific. Man, his team up, his leader ability
in the game. Yeah,
seems to be uber cracked. I can't lie to you. I'm gonna have to work something out here.
I pulled for Guy Gardner, unfortunately, and didn't do Mr. Terrific. So I'm an idiot. I fumbled so hard.
Yeah. No. I'm saving, but yeah, no, it's been okay. We've just been hanging around. Wait, man, this Peacemaker.
We're getting pumped. Nick.
Yeah.
How have you been? Hanging in there?
Good. Hanging.
You got a birthday coming up.
I do.
You don't.
Big 4-0.
Yes, sir.
Been playing a little Silk Song.
Yeah.
Been playing a little Path of Exile 2. And when I buy a little, I mean many hours worth.
Yeah.
And I got the Demon Slayer movie tomorrow for people with impeccable taste.
Oh hell yeah.
I'll be, so I got a lot to look forward to. Birthdays, good movies. Probably the game of the generation came out. We're excited. Oh, I also been playing Metal Gear Solid Delta.
Yeah.
Pretty excited about that. Off and on. Got a lot of fun stuff.
Y'all are gamers.
Oh, I'm watching Peacemaker and the thing that we have a podcast about.
Peacemaker. So last week I was here and I waxed poetic about the first 2 episodes of Peacemaker, which I really, really did enjoy. I don't know if any of you wanted to hop in and chit chat about those first 2 episodes, or if you just want to get into episode 3, because I feel like in episode 3 there's a lot to talk about, and maybe as we go through episode 3 you'll be able to give your thoughts on the previous 2 episodes. What do you guys want to do?
Well, I guess I'll let True start.
I was gonna say, just the first thing. What are your thoughts on this season's intro in comparison to the last one? Just the first thing.
Dude, when I tell you, okay, so I listened the first time I heard it, I was like, this is not as good as Do You Want to Taste It? And then I was like listening to the intro at work, just like I put the intro on and I put it on again. I was like, I gotta find the whole song. When I tell you, I've listened to this song like 100 times since. I freaking love the song, and I'm up on the intro. I don't want to say a hot take and say better than the first one, because how can you outdo the original? But the sequel always allows more room for experimentation and growth. I really like the song. I really like the dance, and I'm all in on "Oh Lord" by Foxy Shazam. What about you?
Not as big as the song. I really, really like the dance, though. I think the visuals for the second season, I think, are better.
Yeah.
But man, do you want to taste it? I don't know, man. It's gonna be a hard one for him to top that one. I feel like he should have done that song for the second season. But yeah, no, it is. It surprises me James can just find random ass songs that just fit. Like that's what I was thinking through both the first couple of episodes. I was like, man, these are some choice songs that he's picking for all the different scenes.
Yeah.
There might be super popular songs, but I don't listen to that type of music, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either, but I kind of trust James Gunn because whenever he puts a song in something, I feel like we have similar music tastes. I like fall in love with the song. Like the first time I ever heard "Sucker's Prayer" by the Decemberists was in the Suicide Squad. It's like one of my favorite songs ever now. So
yeah, that movie is a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm probably in the same camp as True, where do you want to taste it? Is just like if Peacemaker, you just associate that song with Peacemaker instantly. I just hum that first verse and then the initial riff. I just hum that immediately as soon as I think like Peacemaker's in Fortnite now. He's in the mobile game, and it's just instantly that's the association. But I feel like technically the intro is better, like the choreography and the intricacies and the like. It plays more to the point of the story because you have like the alternate universe characters in there. And I feel like they also took into account some of the like they got just a stunt dancer for Robert Patrick because they knew that he just sucked and you can't teach an old dog new tricks. It seems in his case, as far as dancing is concerned. But yeah, it's gonna be tough to top. Do you really want to taste it? That was just so catchy and evokes the character at this point.
Nick, thoughts on the opener?
I think for me, I definitely would have preferred that they. Let me rephrase that because it sounds like I'm going to go in a different direction. I'm glad they went with a different song. Because do you really want to taste it, or whatever the title of that song was from the first season was really cool, and that was a really good like opening, very unique. But I'm glad that they did something new. They have a new dance routine and a new song because there's rewatchability for it. And then it makes you wonder, is there going to be a third season? What's the next one? But overall, like choreography, just to kind of pair what you guys said, I thought it was interesting. I thought it was fun having the alien or whatever the little, cosmic guy is in the background is pretty cool.
That asshole that never says hi.
Yeah.
Never once having, obviously having Eagly in there, all the different universe versions of the characters is cool. I enjoy it. I think it's a little bit more unique than just kind of what we typically get with shows where you get a 2-second clip of the title and then it's over. So it's fun. It doesn't take a lot of time out of the running of the show, and it has a lot of replayability. So it's fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's just hop into episode 3. And if you have any thoughts on episode 1 or 2, feel free to just let it rip. I'm going to give you guys the most space to talk because you haven't been able to chat about it yet. And I'm sure you've got a lot of thoughts. But we spend the majority of this episode 3 on the second Earth, whatever you want to call it. But we open up the episode with some actual like bombastic news, and then you hit into the theme song. And I feel like James Gunn does an amazing job of like writing like a one scene that has a stinger, and then you get into the theme song, and you're this close. You're tempted to press the skip, but you can't because you got to lock into the music and get into the right zone. But we get a scene between Rick Flag and Harcourt pre Rick Flag's death, like the day of or the day before he ships out to Corto Maltese. We find out some information that he's still technically with Enchantress. He's kind of, doing a little funny business behind her back. Afraid that he might just be pulverized and atomized by her. I don't recall how much detail they went into, but it seems like Enchantress herself is canon. But like at the end of the first 2016 Suicide Squad movie, the Enchantress was sucked into the sword of Katana, right? If I'm remembering correctly. So like the Enchantress was gone and purged from June, right? But in this,
That's all you, bro. That's all you. We don't
Yeah,
know.
right?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Like Harley Quinn comes down, like stabs her, and then her soul captures the soul
Yeah,
of
you're
the
right.
victims.
Oh yeah, the sword of
Yeah.
captures the soul of her victim.
Exactly.
This is Nick's warehouse. Come on.
Yeah, you're right.
He's 100% right. That's what I took from the scene. He gets stabbed in the heart,
Okay.
and then it's over, and
So-
the sword claims another victim.
So June being Enchantress is at the very least canon, and James Gunn references that film specifically. So I would say like it's that actress, Cara Delevingne, I believe her name is. It's probably that same character design and all that. But I would say that almost all of the 2016 Suicide Squad is not canon. We know that June is canon, and she's still the Enchantress because obviously the ending changed in this universe. Harley Quinn is canon, Amanda Waller and Rick Flag are canon. Those 4 characters plus Captain
And Boomerang.
And Boomerang,
I would
yeah.
say that it's like those characters probably all had an adventure together before the Suicide Squad. Like Waller led a mission including Boomerang, Rick Flag Jr., Harley Quinn, and Enchantress was in the mix there somewhere. But I would imagine like El Diablo going Super Saiyan or whatever and fist fighting Enchantress, and like I think all of that is probably, you know, at least subject to revision. But also some good power scaling because Rick Flag Jr. Believes that she could blast a hole through the planet if she gets mad enough, if she realizes that he's two-timing her. So that's also pretty good.
Superman stocks are way, way up, baby.
Yes, sir.
I also just wanted to quickly mention this is episode 1, but the way that they handle the other universe, so the old DCEU, where it's just like, yeah, that just didn't happen, or
Right.
them replacing all the scenes. Instead of talking about Aquaman, he's talking about Guy, and then it's the Justice Gang that shows up. I feel like that's the best way to do it, so you're not holding on to any strands that don't feel like they needed to be held on to. And then obviously with something like Blue Beetle, they only reference Superman, so that can be whatever.
Yeah, and
So
James even said recently, he was talking about the first season of Suicide Squad, or first season of Peacemaker rather, and he compared it to Blue Beetle. Like he just went out of his way to be like, there's like very slight things, like James Gunn seems to think Bloodsport did not shoot Superman, that he did not shoot David Corenswet. But other than that, it seems like that movie is wholesale still canon. So yeah, no, I agree. I think they did it in I think he did it in the least complicated way. Like I am glad it's not like another universe.
Yeah.
I think that was kind of an obvious theory, is the like Peacemaker that he ends up killing or whatever in like episode 1, if I recall, was like DCEU Peacemaker or something. But yeah, it just seems like, but it is interesting to go out of your way to reference Enchantress. That has to, because does Enchantress know she probably didn't find out that Rick Flag cheated, but and seemingly no one knows how he died. You know, his dad has to dig up the file, like Argus was suppressing that information. So is Enchantress still out there like mourning the loss of her lover? Or like, I feel like that's something where it's a movie from another universe made by another director, written by someone else, but you are tipping the hat seemingly for like, I mean, that has to pay off somehow. Like, could Enchantress show up later in this and be like,
Commando season 2?
Yeah, I'm thinking that's a Chekhov's gun, right?
She could,
yeah, for sure,
go toe to toe with Cersei or something at some point. You know, it seems like she's still that dog on a leash that Amanda Waller has access to, at least from what we can tell. Like Rick Flag is still the one keeping her in check, which is why he wants to stay in this relationship with her to some extent. It seems like he's kind of wants to be out of the relationship but can't really. And then we get to see why like Amelia Harcourt cannot stand Christopher Smith at the beginning of season 1 is because she like killed Rick Flag, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's all super interesting how this.
It's
like,
great drama because
that's kind of interesting. Did they ever reference the fact that she knows that he killed Rick Flag in the first season?
no, this is the first big reveal, but the
'Cause that's where I was going with this. Was like,
Mhm.
you know, he has so much emotional stock in his relationship with her, both in the parallel universe and in whatever capacity, you know, they seem to have, at least in their native, you know, universe, have at least spent a night together. So it's obvious that Chris is romantically, you know, interested in her, and he's been pushing that direction, and she's pushing away. But it tends to, you know, lend itself to the fact that when she eventually does find out that, like, you know, this guy who she, by her own account, says is like her only friend in that first scene, when she finds out the Peacemaker is the one that killed him and what he killed him for, which was effectively, you know, to protect some data on the experiments on Corto Maltese, that's going to completely jack up their relationship.
I think she does know. I think that's why she was like, because as soon as she's assigned to him in the first season, she's like, that ass, he's a monster. Like, she does kind of go in on him. I feel like that wasn't something James Gunn had in mind necessarily at first. And it does seem like her character's a little bit fast and loose. Like, the actress and James Gunn figured out her backstory, but so like her childhood and all that, and they've alluded to that being altered in the other universe. So that's why she has like a totally different personality. But I got the sense that she does know that he did it. But I think that the interesting drama and the idea, because of course I think we probably need to talk about we had reservations, I think all of us did, about the multiverse angle, because it's been so thoroughly mined. But it is already setting up, like I can already see the reveal of Peacemaker revealing to Harcourt 2. Like, I can see that relationship developing, that you know, prospering, and then eventually he's got to say, I'm not your Chris Smith, and she will feel betrayed because no matter what, he got into that relationship under false pretenses, you know. And obviously it's like a weird existential, and killed that guy, right, that she did have a fondness for, you know, which he was a bum and he basically killed himself like that. I don't know how exactly. But yeah, and then also the drama of once the moment happens, because, you know, Peacemaker is a different person than he was in season 1 and the movie more you know, squarely due to the Rick Flag Jr. situation. But he's a different person than he was then. He's come a long way. And Harcourt, I think, understands that emotionally, but then at the same time she's like, but you killed my best friend. So she's letting him in this much because it's a complicated world. Like, the world of Black Ops is complicated. That was his mission.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like his duty was to stop that information from getting leaked. And I feel like Amelia Harcourt would consciously understand that, being from that world. And then also, she wasn't really all in on Rick Flag in the first place. She's like, he's my best friend, but I don't really want to go further than that. You know, she was obviously willing to hook up with him, but it doesn't seem like she wasn't willing to make a permanent commitment. And so I just think those are all very interesting dynamics. And I think those scenes are going to hit hard. And then also, you know, when Peacemaker reveals, like, he's going to try to apply what he's learning in the other universe with the other Harcourt to the main one. And I feel like it's just going to fall completely flat. I don't see that relationship. I just don't see how that's going to coalesce into something non-toxic if substantive at all.
I just want to point out too that while we were sitting here, I did find that Jennifer Holland had an interview with CBR where she straight up confirms that the reason that she hates Peacemaker in the first season is because he killed Rick Flag. So it's where it was, you know, what I mentioned earlier of you know, not there being some gray area. Apparently it's not gray. Like, she knows that he killed him, and she's working her way through it in one way or another. So
yeah, Nick, I highly recommend watching the official Peacemaker podcast starring James Gunn.
Okay.
Just throwing it out there. It's a great watch. I watch it after every episode.
I was gonna say, this episode, the way this season has been built up so far, there's going to be that breaking point, right? We have Chris trying to make all the changes, but everything he's doing is wrong, right? Everything is going to, we know every single thing is gonna eventually explode in and of itself. And the question then ends up being like, what is he going to be after all of that implodes in? Because he's building, like, he's reaching out to Hardcore in both the universes, trying to change, and she's not giving it to him, so he has to try to find it somewhere else. But
that's a good point.
In and of itself is causing the issues. And I'm like, man, how do you take the character? Does everything blow up and he's like, okay, I can't do this anymore, and like revert back to just being an asshole? Or does he like try to push through all like...
Because he's trying to clean up his act.
Yeah, I think part of this it has to do with the fact that like he is trying to clean up his act, so to speak, but he's still only doing that for his own reasons. Like when he goes into this other dimension, he's going there because it's easier for him. He can see his brother.
Bitches show him their titties. Like
exactly. He has a better life there that he didn't have to work to get. So it's an easier road for him to travel down. He can show up there. He's rich. He's famous. He effectively has the girl that he wants in some capacity. He has all the adoration that he's been lacking, and really that has been all of his character motivation is still very self-centered.
He wants to be the consequences of, like, instead of growing in your own universe and saying I'm above the trauma of like losing my brother or whatever, he's just escaping to a false reality from his perspective where he doesn't have to face those consequences internally.
Exactly. He doesn't have to deal with any of the trauma, as you said, that he has endured in his life. He's skipping all of that and going to the things that he wants. And I think that, we'll touch on this other subject in a minute, but I think once, whatever the big twist is that has to do with this other dimension hits, and we could discuss that in a few minutes because I think we're all pretty much locked into that, and we'll give some spoiler warnings before that. I think once that twist or whatever happens there occurs, then the switch is going to flip in his brain where he realizes, like, I'm not essentially entitled to anything. I have to earn all this stuff on my own. I have to.
The point of being a hero is making the sacrifice.
Exactly. The Captain America line of, you're not the kind of guy that lays down on the wire and lets the other guy go over top of you. That's what he's never really got. He thinks that he does this, like, you do something good, you're entitled to get something back in the sense of joining the Justice Gang or getting the girl. And that's not how the world works. Sometimes you have to do good things because those are the right things to do without the desire to get something out of it. Like that's morality in a nutshell. If everybody was given something for doing something good immediately, then that would be that would be how everybody acts. But that's just not the way that the world works. So he's I think that by the end of the season, you're going to see that switch flip in him where he realizes, yeah, my life has been pretty effed up, right? But I have to make the best of it with the team that I have. I don't have the super team of my dad and my brother and they're all their money. I have the 11th Street kids. I might not be fighting the biggest threats in the world like over in this dimension. I'm fighting whatever I'm fighting over here. And he's kind of getting, he's going to fall into his rhythm, in our dimension where, or in his dimension where, he comes from and he can make the best out of what he gets.
I also think that there's also an aspect of, it seems like no good deed he does goes unpunished, right? It's no matter the first time he's done something and not be actively instantly punished for it was him in episode 3 when he saved that building. While everything else he does, he goes to this alternate universe. He's just trying to see what's going on. He gets put to this situation with his father and his brother, and then the other one comes and attacks him. Where in that situation, it's like, okay, how could he have acted in that situation that would have turned out better, right?
Right.
Where that other Peacemaker doesn't talk, he tries to talk to him, and he's the one attacking him. He then defends himself, and now he's in even a worse situation, right? He's trying to change his life. We now have Rick Flag Senior, who's at the head of Argus. If it was anybody else, right? If it was literally any other character, if it was Lex, right? It wouldn't that he's now not under 24-hour surveillance, and he's now not getting done for having a dimensional portal in his house as well.
Yeah.
Right. So he keeps getting into all these situations where it's like, man, the world seems to be against him, right? It seems like everything he's doing, the world will simply just not let him move forward.
Well, he can't escape the consequences.
Yeah,
you know, there's still another Rick Flag, you know, senior hunting him for what he did. He can't. And I mean, they frame it too. Obviously, he is seeking contemporary addictive substances, whether it be sex or drugs or alcohol.
Yep.
But then the other dimension now is his addiction. You know, he's like constantly going back. He's literally just tuning out of his own reality, which is often how people, you know, they talk in those in figurative terms. You know, to escape your reality, escaping your current circumstances. But he has a literal, you know, means to do that, and you know, he's gonna have to kick it for sure. And I think that can be motivated by what Nick was referring to, which we don't know this for a fact, so it's not necessarily a spoiler, but a lot of us are presuming that this universe is going to be kind of an Earth X type place, that there is some sort of social order there that benefits, you know, specifically, I forget his name, I forget his father's name, but the White Dragon and his ideology. Augie Smith, yeah, and the Sons of Liberty, which, if I know my history correctly, of course, is the subtitle of Metal Gear Solid 2. However, also in the real world, I believe that was like a group seeking, like, you know, separation or whatever, liberty from during the revolution in America. So it seems to be some allusion to that they are in some kind of you know, despotic or you know, strange, you know, Earth X is essentially the a universe where the Axis won. It doesn't seem like it's as severe here, at least not in the comics. It's obviously in the comics, once you go to like Hitler Earth, there's like swastikas everywhere, like they drive that point home with every panel.
Yeah.
But and then I also noticed the Argus symbol is flipped on the side as well. It's like tilted 90 degrees. So that's another, because I was thinking, like, with the Spider-Verse movies, there's alternate Coca-Cola, like the branding emphasizes the alternate reality. So that was something I noticed there as well. But I want to also say this, because just in case I forget it later, but we know for a fact that the first season was written in very different circumstances, where James Gunn didn't know he was going to be calling the shots, and it was also operating in like technically a different universe. And I feel like some plot points have been dropped, and I wanted to see how you guys felt about it, because the idea of Peacemaker hallucinating his dad seems that this could be completely ignored, because at the end of the first season, he sits down at the very end in front of his trailer house, and after shooting his father is physically, you know, as it's from his perspective, still with him. And, you know, he says, he's like, "You're never going to get rid of me," before he shoots and kills him. And then also, was the Mern butterfly not still alive at the end of season 1? I feel like they still had, or it was a Goff. It was the Goff butterfly. Peacemaker still had that butterfly, and it was like his, I don't know what they were implying there, but it like flies off towards the camera or something. I want to say towards the end, or like sits next to him, and the hallucination of his dad. But it seems like in the retooling, it became a very different show. The ideas for season 2, and I wanted to know how you guys feel about that, because I think we're all pretty happy with this season, but I just think it's interesting. I think there will be at some point, it's going to have to be addressed that some of the plot points have been kind of dropped or maybe reshuffled.
Yeah, I think.
I don't know if the.
Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
I don't know if the plot point of his dad being with him was dropped completely. I just think it's not visually as evident, like in the hallucination section of seeing his father. I think he's still carrying that trauma with him, but now that he can actually physically see an actual real version of his dad in another dimension, it probably wouldn't make a lot of sense for them to juggle both of those elements, because he's getting that emotional validation from his father that he never got in his life through this version of him in the other reality. So I wouldn't be surprised. Same thing with the butterflies. They're telling a different story right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's something that in maybe the end of the season, after the conflict is over, reemerges itself. Like, hey, remember this shit's still out there, kind of a thing. Or if it's alluded to it, you know, in another season or something of that nature. They also might just say, hey, the stamp was done on that story. But I do think that we'll get more of that in the future. But yeah, I was thinking about that earlier. It's kind of like, you know, he's carrying around the trauma of having killed his dad, but now he doesn't really have to deal with it anymore because he has effectively a new dad, the dad that he always wanted, the brother that he always wanted. So it's allowing him to cope in a way that he doesn't really have to. He can, like you said, he can kind of compartmentalize that, bury it down inside, because he's getting the thing he wants anyway.
Good point. Yeah, and I think there's a teaser of the Judo Master episode, and he obviously was very heavily involved with the butterfly, so I feel like that's might be how they tie that off as well.
Yeah, because I was just saying it could just be like, well, the Justice Gang saw what happened at the end of it, and they like fix it off screen. If this is not going to be like a major narrative plot point for Peacemaker, or even if they want to do it in Creature Commandos Season 2, for example, it's not something I think that needs to be dealt with at the current moment. Now, I might be bad at face. I just want to ask a question. So when he's saving those people, there's a poster on the wall next to the building. I'm pretty sure that's Lois Lane in the picture, but I also could just be really bad at telling people's faces. Do you guys remember this?
No,
I didn't notice that. I noticed the Mighty Crabjoys billboard, which is
I noticed that as well.
The band, yeah, Superman's favorite band, is still in the other universe. I didn't notice a Lois Lane though.
I'll have to find it, but yeah, I could just be hallucinating. But yeah, I was looking at the different ads in the.
Just to pick some. Oh,
go on.
Just to pick something up from a couple seconds ago, because in the chat, General Shepard said that the butterfly probably died since its only source of food was gone. All the butterflies survived off the queen butterfly's excrement from the first season. So I went and looked that up while we were sitting here, and that's something that I completely forgot. So that thing is definitely dead.
Yeah, I would like for them to just pay a little lip service to that, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. James Gunn mentioned, I believe early on, when the season first premiered, that, or in the lead up to it, that he wasn't really inspired to write the second season, and wasn't really planning to do it, but decided to for Cena's benefit. He was like, "Oh, John deserves it, and I want to write him something really good that he can like dig into and like flex his new acting muscles." Yeah, I saw that in an interview, which I thought was really, really interesting. And I think
that is interesting. If this is James Gunn phoning it in, that's crazy. That's crazy impressive.
I don't know if it's phoning it in, but it is like there was no.
It wasn't
like,
his top priority.
Yeah, it wasn't like divine inspiration like the first season was, and I feel like thus far, like right off of the jump, and we do have the benefit of knowing these characters from the film and now season 1, so we get that benefit of previous writing. But I feel like we're jumping in feet first here in a way that the first season was not able to, and I'm enjoying the first 3 episodes of this season much more than I was the first season. I don't know if you guys are feeling the same way, but I feel like we're hitting a lot more emotional beats that are resonating with me earlier on. Like obviously we got towards the end of season 1, we got into stuff like that, but again, that's probably just the benefit of us knowing the characters so much more, and then seeing Rick Flag show up is like an emotional punch to the gut. And then all of the scenes between Chris and his brother Keith have really hit emotionally for me. And yeah, I'm really liking what James is doing with this season, and I think it's only going to get better from here. Like the press that saw season 1 haven't seen the last 3 episodes because they're so insane, and I think we could go into like spoilers, but there are like characters I think we're really expecting to see show up in this season. One rhymes with Scooper Man. Might be showing up later in the season based on all of these photos that the cast members are just posting on Instagram. But I think we're going to get into a lot of insane, crazy stuff. Like, I think the doors are completely open for any number of things. And if we want to dive into theories, like we talked about Earth X, and for people that don't know, Earth X in DC is the Nazis won World War II. And this could be the product of that, right? There's no need for Augie Smith to be like this giga like outcast racist, because everybody in the world lives in a world where like there's only white people, right? And if you watch the season closely, you'll notice that there are like no minorities. I could see like potentially a multiverse war happening, quote unquote, where like Earth 1 Argus invades to get Peacemaker from Earth 2, and then Rick Flag Sr. makes his alternate Earth son, and we have a bunch of reconciliation that way. I think we could go any number of ways, man. And if Superman is going to show up, I think it could really, really be crazy, because James Gunn is like, this season of Peacemaker directly leads into the next Superman movie, right? So I think there are huge implications on the way.
So I have a couple theories about this that I want to touch base on while we're here, since you opened the door to do it. But the entire central narrative of the entire ethical and moral question of this season is, why the hell wouldn't Chris want to live in this universe, right? He has everything that he wants there. He has the girl, he has the money, he has the fame, he has the adoration. All of this, like, and then whenever he does come back, his life is just dog shit. Like we mentioned before, he can't catch a break no matter what he does. He seems to mess, for every good thing he does, he has to answer for a number of bad things that he did. And, their karma has kind of balanced out. So I think that, you paint yourself a question as a viewer of like, why wouldn't you stay in that universe? But I think that the big bombshell that's going to hit him is going to be the, moment where he has all these friends, all these people he knows that, these new people are ideologically not aligned with the values of our Earth. And then it's going to come to a head in some capacity where he's going to be asked to do something that he views to be incredibly unethical by his terms, but by their terms, it's not. Whether it happens to be some type of an ethnic or religious cleansing act, or he finds out that this group, the Sons of Liberty, is made up of people of various, religious or ethnic backgrounds, whatever it happens to be. I think that's when he's going to get put into the position where he has to make a decision of, do I do the right thing by, because I'm always shit on, this universe has the things I want, if I'm willing to accept the fact that there's this element of it that most viewers will probably agree is not the thing that we want to have in society, or do I, let that slide, kind of a thing. So that's I think gonna lead to the culmination of what we experience there. But I do think that with regards to Superman, I'm not 100% sure if Superman's going to be involved in any big bombastic battle. I was always thinking of, we are seeing, anybody who's terminally online like we have seen images of Superman, with the cast and crew. Like you said, they're not really seeming to hide that he's going to potentially show up. James Gunn even said, hey, we might have a really big cameo, around the time that Superman was coming out. He was doing press, so it's kind of indicating that, for a while you could expect to see Superman. I think it's more logical that rather than Superman kind of show up to help save the day due to some massive issue like a breach of the two universes or a war, I think he'll more show up to kind of give Chris the emotional kudos that he wants, because he's been shit on by the Justice Gang in that interview. But imagine the difference between, you're getting shit on by Guy Gardner and Hawkgirl and Maxwell Lord, who were very openly, being dicks to you in an interview. But if Superman comes up and gives you the old that a boy, that's a huge moral victory for Chris. Like, hey, I know you've messed up in the past, but you really came through and fixed this thing that was going to happen, or you saved the day. That to me I think would be enough for that character to say, hey, I belong. I'm on the right
Superman
track.
gives a little anybody can change,
Yeah.
little epitaph or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel like the one wrinkle maybe in the Earth X thing is I think it was on the DCU or the proper James Gunn Peacemaker podcast, and he was like, somebody was talking about the kills in episode 3, and one of the actors, I forget which one, was like, man, I kind of felt bad for the one Sons of Liberty guy, I guess, like the axe in the head. And James is like, don't feel bad for him, like he's like a terrorist or whatever. But I feel like James is a nuanced writer, so like even if they're fighting like a whatever against the social order they disagree with, they are still about, they're going to blow up a building and they're like holding, innocent people hostage. So I think I would probably lean more towards, and this will be an Earth X type of thing. My only thing is like, I'm a little bit curious about Peacemaker's character, because he is like very hyper efficient in taking down the Sons of Liberty that he does in episode 3. And it made me think as well, power scaling brain, he was injured throughout the whole first season. Like he never does like a super impressive, like he's like John Wick systematically taking these dudes out with no weapon, no armor, and he's like a Terminator, right? He's just bang bang headshot, like being very very hyper efficient. So I attribute it to the fact that it's been years and he's healed up from his injuries, because in the first season he's barely out of the hospital, and his injuries are just compounding as he's doing all these crazy things. But more than to the point, he like comes to this other universe, and if it is like a totally different reality, like if Hitler won World War II or whatever variation of that it's going to be, if that's what it ends up being, I feel like it would be pretty self-evident. And he's got Google, his cell service still works. They still have the same 5G towers, and his Verizon account is still valid in the other dimension.
No, he took the other Chris's
right,
phone.
right. But doesn't his phone work, or is he switching phones?
No, he's just using his phone. Yeah.
Okay. He must be switching phones. Okay. So he's switching phones, but you'd think like he knows his dad's a horrible racist, and he's just so enamored. And I don't think it's unrealistic, but I'm just thinking for myself, I'd be like, I'm in literally a whole nother universe. This concept is foreign to me. Like you're not 10 years into the DCU where it's like, okay, yeah, like Jay Garrick's over there. He's from Earth 2. You wouldn't think to be like, how different is it? But I guess Peacemaker is just a naive, simpleton, ultimately.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the point, though, is like,
yeah,
he doesn't really care how he's getting the things he's getting. He's just getting the things he wants, his dad's there. I think when the mask starts to slip and he starts to notice, it might only take one or two things to happen. It might very well be that his dad does in that universe have the exact same ideology.
Oh, it'll probably be Adebayo coming over to like convince him to come back, and everyone will be like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
what is that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I think it will be his friends, and I am curious because I think like they obviously have all these actors, and we already have another hardcore. We already have two different versions of Rick Flag Jr. In the show. I want to see, can we get like another universe guy Gardner? Can we get another universe? Because they have these actors, and obviously somebody like the guy Gardner, Nathan Fillion, he's in for the long haul with James Gunn. I think he's one of those guys that would just do anything for him.
There's no Mr. Terrific, probably. There's no hot girl.
Probably maybe no hot girl.
It's a different.
But is Superman there? That's interesting.
Is that
stuff?
Like the emaciated Superman that's been kept underneath the ground? I don't know. Maybe,
but what's the situation with Jarhanpur? What's the dynamic there? Are they our great ally? What's going on in the new universe?
True.
Now, if that is what's going on and there are alternate versions, I think it's safe to say that in that universe there could be a polka dot man who could make his way back to our dimension. Because if you're gonna save anybody, that's who you save.
There we go.
Lex
Yeah.
is
Was
probably
thinking about
president
that.
or something in this universe.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And
I would
maybe
love
like
to see
the
that.
big threat from that's gonna be in season 2 in Superman 2 that Lex and Superman have to team up to defeat comes from like this universe potentially.
See, I was thinking,
That was my thoughts as well.
I had a thought about the other universe. I don't know. I just want to see. I want to see like other vigilante. I was saying before we talked, like how cool would it be if, because in the comics, vigilante, like he's basically just Deadpool in the show, but in the comics, he's more of a Punisher type character where he's like the legal system failed me, so he just starts taking people out, and he's like basically. He's essentially a Dick Grayson villain. He first appeared in New Teen Titans, and that was a very like Dick Grayson Robin centered storyline at first, and then different iterations of the vigilante character have played like Nightwing's career here and there. But I think that would be very cool to get like super serious vigilante. I think that would be fun. But gosh, I'll have to try to remember what I was thinking of. But also, why is this Earth 2 or whatever, Earth X Peacemaker, does he have no eagly? Where's his eagly?
Oh, that's a good point.
That is true.
My girlfriend was like, "Where's his eagle? Why doesn't he have eagly?"
If Germany won World War II, they'd probably like disassemble any sort of American patriotism, so the Eagles would have, like lost the time. Yeah.
Yep. That's the answer, and that's actually the linchpin of the entire thing.
He's like, wait, there's no eagly?
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, there was slavery was never abolished, and women can't vote. And Peacemaker's like, yeah. But he's like, and then there's no eagles.
There's no bald eagles either.
Yeah, there's no. He's like, huh? Puts on his helmet, instantly kills his brother, kills his dad, no hesitation. But what I was thinking was, the moment where his brother.
Germany's national animal, I just looked it up, is an eagle.
Okay, so where's eagly?
It's not a bald
Maybe
eagle.
eagly morally objects. Maybe
instead of a bald eagle, it's an alder. Some ain't adding up.
Okay. Yeah.
What was it in the 40s? Did they change it? That's a real question.
Know.
True. Do you have any thoughts or theories on season 2, Earth X, Earth 2? What do you think we're seeing there?
On the Earth, I'm just more interested in what he said, where he was like, "There's 99 other doors," which is wait, was it him or
one of them?
I think he said that. I think Peacemaker said that.
Yeah,
has he counted all of them? Did his dad tell him there are 99 in there?
Probably told him or something. It's like, okay. Are these are alternate universes, and is this different from what Lex did? Because did Lex just create his own one? So is there like 100 now after Lex?
Yeah.
Right, because there's Lex's little, and then there's the point about the dimensional imps, because we all thought they were fifth dimensional imps talking about Mixie and the Batman and
Batman,
right? Yeah. But it seems that they're just actual imps from another. So they're using the term dimension for universe and not in the way that we normally see it.
Spatial, like higher or lower dimensions.
Yeah. There are implications, and I think this is it's an interesting thing, because I was like, man, I don't want to see alternate universes, but I feel like this is done in a tasteful way where I'm not against the story on the face of it, right? It might just be because also there's only one of each character so far, so it's him interacting with a different world. It could be my
thought before I lost it was, James Gunn was like, we're not bringing people back, and Nick brought up the polka dot man thing, but James Gunn made a point to be like, if you're dead in this universe, you're dead. But we kind of already brought back Rick Flag Jr. Like, he's technically alive again for all intents and purposes.
And Augie.
Yeah, and his brother and his dad. They were dead in the other reality, and then now they're essentially back. And I also think it's going to be really heartbreaking. I'm less so like, I think the reason why the alternate universe stuff I think works this time is because it is character focused, and it's focused on like the interpersonal drama. Like the idea of losing your brother when you were like 8 or something, and then living with that for 30 some odd years, and then being like, you don't, because Peacemaker didn't spend that time with him. he didn't grow to know his brother, but he inherited a good relationship. Like that is interesting sci-fi drama that you can kind of only do in these scenarios.
That makes me think, what is the scene if he has to kill his brother again?
Yeah.
That scene is going to be brutal,
yeah,
right? Because like with his father, we could understand that, but we don't like his father, right? We all do this like, okay, he's the villain, so we understand. But like in this scenario, if this isn't an Earth X situation and his brother's like a genuine good person, I don't
It's
know.
also hard to say with the like good and bad binary, because if you're just like, they didn't have a say in their reality.
Yeah,
they didn't have a say in the norms. All these guys were born decades later. If they're just products of that divergent, it's like, I mean, they might not even be inherently. I mean, they're saving lives. They're getting cheers from the crowd. They're clearly beloved by the masses. They're murals. So it's like, it just, I don't know. And it's hard to know because we're kind of guessing the nature of the different reality. But that's also another complication is Peacemaker going to exercise some moral authority based on like a different universe with different rules and different circumstances? I mean, I think it may be more so from the Argus angle. That would be an interesting thing, because I think Argus are going to chase him to the other reality. But that'll be something who's like, do we have jurisdiction here? Like the law is different here. Like what standard are we going to try to execute some sort of, justice or whatever?
Yeah,
it'll have to be his personal. I was going to say it's going to have to be what he personally believes, because he's already done that, right? With the terrorists. So he's already said, okay, these are actions that I believe are bad, so I'm going to do something to save people that I believe.
Well, he did make a vow to defend peace no matter the cost. So maybe he just kind of springed into his own mental state.
But it was just disturbing the peace. It wasn't the terrorists blowing up. Yeah.
There's gonna ultimately be something in that universe that leads him to have to make a moral or ethical choice between one or the other. I don't think it's necessarily just going to be that the other Argus troop, comes in to get him. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to have to realize for himself that universe is not right for him, or he'll
it's
never
not his
want
home.
to leave it. Yeah, his idea of good and bad and moral, somewhat moral absolutionism will have to come from, his own internal moral compass. And again, whether it's through this path or something else about that world that doesn't make sense or that puts him off of it, or it could just be the fact that everything blows up in his face and he has to Chris Smith it and cut and run. We don't know, but
he's also abandoning his friends as well. Like this tight-knit group, they do rely on him emotionally in a lot of ways. And he would just be completely, he's like, I'm going to pick the other Harcourt. Like, you have a Harcourt that you can have a meaningful relationship with in some form or fashion. You could get some redemption through her in her eyes. That would mean something. That would mean more than just inheriting the favor of another Harcourt that another.
Well, your point is actually really valid from a storytelling perspective and from a character growth perspective, because as I mentioned earlier, the relationship that he wants with Harcourt is not necessarily the one that is definitely not the one that he deserves, right? He killed her best friend before they met. They have some type of romantic relationship, but this other one is the one that he wants. He has that easy path. What I was talking about earlier, to your point too, is this Chris as a character has to learn that sometimes the thing that you get isn't the thing that you want. You just get something, a little different, a little better. Like, the best that he might be able to get out of this relationship with Harcourt is that she actually genuinely trusts him and that they're friends and that they're not romantically involved, and that he has morally earned her trust from, him killing her best friend, which was ultimately the thing that made her hate him in the first place.
Yep.
And that might be all that he gets. And that's another character growth moment where he has to realize that sometimes you don't get what you want, but
the girl.
that doesn't mean that you're not getting something good.
you deserve as well.
Exactly. That's like that.
Like he's put in the work. He put in the work to be a different person.
Yeah.
He just has to, like, you have to remove the result. Like, you have to have outcome independence, right? You have to say, me putting in the effort is the reward, instead of some physically or emotionally beneficial thing you should personally derive a value from your effort, inherently, instead of, oh, well, am I going to get what I want out of doing the thing that I know emotionally is correct. But yeah, there's a lot of layers here, and that's news to me that James didn't want to do this show, because it definitely seems like it's a very well thought out and compelling narrative with a lot of different layers, and it's only 3 episodes in.
When he gets cooking, man, you can't stop him, bro. Think about the generational run he's been on. Guardians 3, The Suicide Squad, Peacemaker Season 1, Superman, Peacemaker Season 2, Creature Commandos, and he just finished writing Superman 2. That's, I'm assuming, 7 back-to-back bangers if Superman 2 is good. So, like, once he gets started on something, he's like a dog with a bone, man. He can't put it down.
So, since we don't have a super long amount of time left, I did want to take a second and bring up one other thing that I'm sure you probably talked about last week, and I think was kind of highlighted, a character that was highlighted more in this episode, and that's Tim Meadows' Langston Fury, who is, in my opinion, the best part of this season. Every time he's on the screen, he completely sends me. The bird blindness bit, I think that, some people out there are teasing it, but I think it's hilarious, him having bird blindness, which is a ridiculous, concept to inject in the show, but it ties in with the eagly thing pretty interestingly. I thought that was really cool. And then the fact that he makes up these nicknames for everybody, he just has this like really dry, sarcastic wit about him that I appreciate, like him calling I keep wanting to say Otacon because I've been playing Metal Gear Solid, but Economos, thank you.
Yeah.
Keeps calling Economos Ginger cool, and his whole story about him, the Pokemon part where he explains what he was doing when Pokemon was coming out, like all that's really funny. But all the nicknames he makes up for the team that comes in was just killing me, and how he keeps downgrading the one guy's nickname based off how much he talks shit to him. It was really good. I enjoy that character a lot.
Yeah, no, he's great. And we have as well some references to the wider world. Me particularly, I've never been in favor of the what is it, the umlau with Bloodhaven.
Yeah,
it's Bloodhaven. I hope that's just an Earth X inflection that they have, but they've been spending a lot of time in Bloodhaven, which is cool.
This is how it's going to be pronounced later in the season when we find out it's all Nexus.
And they're goose stepping. But yeah, and then James Gunn also said that if Barbara Gordon appeared, she'd be another Ginger Cool. So it does seem like we're getting a redhead Barbara Gordon.
Maybe the pronunciation is because of what happened during World War II, and that's
Bloodhaven.
Yeah, that's just the German affect taking over instead of the Bloodhaven is what the Americans called it.
I hope so, because I'd rather say Bloodhaven, and I'd rather if live action material says Bloodhaven, then I don't want to live in that world. I don't want to have that become
I'm just gonna quit. I don't care how good the Nightwing is. I'm done.
I'm not calling it Bloodhaven, bro.
Oh, that's funny. All right, fellas, that's about an hour. I think we crushed it. I think we're back and better than ever, and I'm excited for the next episode tomorrow. And we will be back next week. Any final thoughts? Crisis True, Nick?
Good stuff. Excited for Superman. We'll probably talk a little bit about the Clayface set photos. I imagine that could feed a whole chat next time. There's a lot of speculation in there as well. Yeah. But it was fun to be back. Fun to do the podcast again.
Heck yeah. We will be back next week, everybody. We're going to talk Peacemaker Season 4. We'll probably talk some some Clayface. There's a lot of cool stuff going on, as Crisis said, and there's a bunch of different like random bits and bobs. But it's nice to have a central theme behind every episode and not just talking about like this random news that comes out every week. So really excited to have all of you back this week, and I'll see all of you guys next week. For Crisis, True, and Nick, my name is Garrick. Thank you for joining us here in the DCU Experience, and we will see you next week.
Peace. Go.
I